nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin the afternoon by calling up Paul House to be sworn in and sign his oath of office. Paul House, please come forward to be sworn in and as legislator of District 8.
Seems like we just did this.
I know.
Left hand on the Bible, right hand raised. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
and of the state of New York,
and of the state of New York,
and faithfully discharge my duties
and to faithfully discharge my duties
as county legislator
as county legislator
for District 8,
for District 8,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, we will proceed to the election of the chairman of the Oswego County Legislature. The floor is open for nominations. Legislator Martino.
Yes, ma'am. It's my honor to nominate proving leader through the county, Mr. Jim Weatherup.
Any other nominations?
We need a second first.
Oh, I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Is there any other nominations?
I'm honored to nominate Mr. Tom Gunn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Okay, first we vote for, okay, a voice vote by name. Okay, you're going to do the roll?
Yes.
Okay, he'll do the roll and then you say what name.
Margaret Kessler.
Weatherup.
Milford Potter.
Over.
Edward Gilson.
Weatherup.
David Olson.
Weatherup.
Roy Real.
Legislator Weatherup.
John Martino.
Weatherup.
Bradley Trudeau. Legislator Weatherup. Paul House.
Legislator Weatherup.
James Weatherup.
Weatherup.
You hesitated on that.
Mary Ellen Chesbrook.
Legislator Weatherup.
Linda Lockwood.
Legislator Weatherup.
Richard Klein.
Legislator Weatherup.
Patrick Twist.
Legislator Weatherup.
Stephen Walpole.
Legislator Weatherup.
Nathan Emmons.
Legislator Weatherup.
Thomas Drum.
Thomas Drum.
Shane Broadwell is absent excused. Heather Del Conte.
Thomas Drum.
Marie Schott.
Tom Drum.
Tim Stahl.
Legislator Weatherup.
Terry Wilbur.
Legislator Weatherup.
James Karosik.
Legislator Weatherup.
Morris Sabello.
Legislator Weatherup.
Daniel Papaya.
Thomas Drum.
Frank Castillo.
Thomas Drum.
19 in favor of Legislator Weatherup.
Okay, Chairman Weatherup, would you like to come forward?
Everybody in town thinks you're it.
Left hand on the Bible. Right hand up. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
and of the state of New York,
and of the state of New York,
and to faithfully discharge my duties
and to faithfully discharge my duties
as chairman of the Oswego County Legislature,
as chairman of the Oswego County Legislature,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I did hear him.
This is a big room.
Thank you. I now open up the floor for the election of vice chairman. Legislator Klein.
It's my honor and privilege to nominate somebody that's been true to this legislature since she's been here. And obviously it's going to be a female. She works hard. She's very dedicated to the meetings and the company that she attends with in our legislature. She, by far, and I mean by far, is very, very, very dedicated to her constituents and the rest of us. At this present time, I nominate Linda Lockwood.
Thank you. Do I have a second? No second. Been numerous seconds. Mr. Potter and then Holtz. Do I have any other nominations? Legislator DeCamp.
And it is my privilege and honor to nominate Legislator Marie Schapp.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Legislator Drone seconds. Is there any other nominations? Thank you. We'll go with a roll call vote.
Parker Kessler,
Lockwood?
Wilbur Potter,
Lockwood.
Edward Gilson,
Lockwood.
David Holst,
Lockwood.
Lori Beal,
Legislator Lockwood.
John Martino,
Legislator Lockwood.
Bradley Trudell,
Legislator Lockwood.
Legislator Lockwood, James Weatherup,
Vice Chairman Lockwood.
Mary Ellen Chesbro,
Legislator Lockwood.
Linda Lockwood,
Legislator Lockwood?
Richard Klein,
Legislator Lockwood.
Patrick Twist,
Legislator Lockwood.
Stephen Walpole,
Legislator Lockwood.
Nathan Emmons,
Legislator Lockwood.
Thomas Drum,
Legislator Schott.
Shane Bravo is absent excused, Heather Del Conte,
Legislator Schapp.
Marie Schott,
Marie Shot.
Tim Stahl,
Legislator Lockwood.
Terry Wilbur,
Legislator Lockwood.
James Karosik,
Legislator Lockwood.
Morris Sabella,
Legislator Lockwood.
Daniel Fafaya,
Legislator Schott.
Frank Castillo,
Legislator Schott.
19 in favor, Legislator Lockwood.
Thank you. Congratulations, Linda.
Okay. All right. Okay. Put your right hand up. Okay. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly
to
swear
support the Constitution of the United States of America,
to
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of New York,
and the state of New York,
and to faithfully discharge my duties
and faithfully discharge my duties
as chairperson of the Oswego County Legislature
as vice chairperson of the Oswego County Legislature
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. At this time, I will take nominations for the clerk of the legislature. Mr. Wilbur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to enter the name of Christopher Jones into nomination for the clerk of the legislature. Everybody knows that he does a wonderful job in this position. He keeps us on track, makes sure we have nice minutes. Emails are functioning properly and helps with the day-to-day chairman's office. So with that, I nominate Chris Jones as clerk.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Legislator Potter. Is there any other nominations? We'll do a roll call voice vote.
Why? Take time or what?
Parker Kessler,
Phil.
Parker Cassett.
Chris Jones.
Milford Potter.
Chris Jones.
Edward Gilson.
Chris Jones.
David Holst.
Chris Jones.
Roy Real.
Chris Jones.
John Martino.
Chris Jones.
Bradley Trudell.
Chris Jones.
Paul House.
Chris Jones.
James Weatherup.
Chris Jones.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
Mr. Chris Jones.
Linda Lockwood.
Chris Jones.
Richard Klein.
Chris Jones.
Patrick Twist.
Chris Jones.
Stephen Walpole.
Chris Jones.
Nathan Emmons.
Chris Jones.
Thomas Strum.
Chris Jones.
Shane Broadwell is absent, excused. Heather Del Conte.
Chris Jones.
Marie Schott.
Chris Jones.
Tim Stahl.
Chris Jones.
Terry Wilbur.
Chris Jones.
James Crossick.
Chris Jones.
Morris Sabella.
Chris Jones.
Daniel Fafia.
Chris Jones.
Frankie Silly.
Chris Jones, but I got an objection. Who's taking the count?
It's a solid count. Thank you.
Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
to support the Constitution of the United States of
and of the
America
state of New York,
and of the state of New York,
and to faithfully discharge my duties
and to faithfully discharge my
as
duties
clerk of the Oswego County Legislature
as clerk of the Oswego County Legislature
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Objections or corrections to minutes from December 13th, 2018? None? Thank you. Public speakers, resolution of the day.
There are none.
Also none. Thank you. Reports of county officials. Reports of special committees. Announcement of majority and minority leaders and whips. Mr. Castiglia, you're the old one, or you're the new one?
I'm the new one, and it's the same one, and Legislator Fafia is the same one, the new one.
Very good.
What about the majority leader? You went out of order, you went with minority leader first. That's why I was a little confused there, Mr.
Little
Chairman.
suspense for you. You got excited for a minute there, though, didn't you? Wow.
I thought I got the majority leader job all of a sudden.
I guess I'm pleased to announce, so he doesn't have to do it himself, that Terry Wilbur is majority leader for the majority. And Terry, would you like to introduce your witness?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Tim Stahl as our majority whip. He was previously, and he will continue on in 2019 for us.
Thank you. Resolutions. Number one by Legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to waive the rules for 6 resolutions that have been presented to each legislator prior to the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And a second? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Legislator 1. Or Legislator Holt, resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution designating the official newspapers for publication of all election notices, official canvass, local laws, notices, and other matters required by law to be published.
Okay, our 2 official papers will be the Palladium Times of Oswego, New York, and the Oswego County Weeklies of Mexico, New York.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 2 by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This recommendation that I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Community Development, Tourism, and Planning.
This is a motion to accept and disperse funding for operating expenses for the public transportation service. Just a flow through of money.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution number 3 by Legislator Stahl.
Mr. Chairman, this resolution I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the chairman of the legislature to enter into agreements in relation to the snowmobile trail development and maintenance program and authorizing acceptance and use of grant monies and budget modification for the 2018-2019 snowmobile program.
Pretty much exactly what it says. We do every year, accepting disbursement of funds to the Oswego County Snowmobile Association.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 4 by legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution adopting an Oswego County investment policy designating banks and depositories of county funds.
Exactly what it is, we do it every year, standard procedure.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 5 by legislator Martino.
I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution designating the Oswego County Treasurer as the responsible official to correct clerical errors and errors in essential fact under real property law 556.
This just brings up any clerical errors that should happen before we,
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. I have resolution number 6 by legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the chair of the legislature to execute an agreement in a U.S. bankruptcy court proceeding concerning property located at 1563 U.S. Route 11, Town of Hastings, Tina Mara, debtor case 18-30327 on certain terms.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any unfinished business? Got a hand, Frank?
I'm getting ready.
Any miscellaneous business?
Okay, that's a point of order, because it wasn't on the order, so.
Just an edit, right? Okay, so now you're up for miscellaneous, or you're just?
I'm up for miscellaneous.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on the floor that this legislative body vote to charge the clerk of the legislature to invite the 2018 Oswego County Honor Flight veterans so they may receive recognition of this legislative body at our February legislative meeting. This is way overdue. I'd like a roll call vote on it.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second by legislator Farfalia. Is that something you could distribute so that we know what we're?
It's just to bring the honor flight veterans that were on the honor flight from Oswego County in front of this legislative body to be recognized of that honor
Okay.
they received.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Chairman, we don't need to have a resolution on that. If that's something that needs to be done, let's do it. Otherwise, no, we don't need a resolution for that.
No problem. Absolutely.
There's no problem. There's no problem with that's going to happen.
Sure, yeah. Just bring it forward. We gotta go through the proper channels, you get it to the clerk, get it to the chairman, and get it done. I mean, it's the way we work around here.
The reason it's being brought forward is because it was already brought to the clerk in the past, Chairman.
All right, well,
And
this
it
is
was-
2019, Mr. Chairman, let's move forward. And I would ask that my colleague rescind his motion in second, and we'll have this taking place in February.
Agreed. Is that agreed?
That's going to happen. I trust his word, and I trust your word. If it's going to happen in February, then we don't have to put it to a vote.
I'm happy.
Okay, I have a second issue.
Surprise.
The reason I have a second issue is because this was brought to the clerk of the legislature back in September. Legislator Fafaya asked to have the honor flight veterans brought in front of this legislature for recognition. Okay? That issue, that letter, was turned over to the Veterans Advisory Board. And I don't believe that that should happen. That Veterans Advisory Board is to advise the veterans. It is not an oversight over this legislative body as to what the legislative body should and can do. I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen in the future. That's not part of what that body was set up for, I believe.
Okay. Legislator Trudell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a point of clarification, I don't have the entire list of correspondence that have gone back and forth or telephone calls, but myself and legislator Fafaya did discuss this particular matter. At our meeting in December, the meeting of the VSAC, the Veterans Services Advisory Committee, we discussed recognizing veterans, etc. It was determined at that meeting that additional recognition from the honor flight would be a redundancy. However, we'll discuss it again in January, our January 9th meeting, which will be held at the Star Clark shop in Mexico at 17:30. Public meeting, everyone's invited. So we're definitely not against in recognizing veterans. As a matter of fact, it's extremely important. But I would just add that in our discussion in our December meeting, and from my own perspective, very often veterans are humble. They can be humble. If we try to continue to recognize and recognize and recognize, and I'm speaking somewhat from experience, I'm speaking, I think I can honestly say on behalf of many of the veterans, if we continue to recognize and continue to recognize, it's like getting an award for having more awards. So that's partly what it was based on, that we had made a decision that we weren't necessarily going to go forward with a continuing recognition. That was the advice that was provided. If we want to do this, I don't believe there's going to be any objection, any genuine objection to say no to honoring veterans. But I just want to voice that opinion in that discussion that had come up at our December meeting. We'll discuss it again at our January meeting, which is again on the 9th of January, 17:30 at Star Clark. So many that I've talked to, again, so many of these veterans, they are humble. And the Veterans Services Advisory Committee is made up of veterans. And that was a consensus decision that was made and discussed at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Papaya.
I do agree that many of them are very humble. However, I did reach out to a couple of the honor flight veterans just to see if there was any interest in such a reception here for them, for participating. And the response was enthusiastic. And I would not have pursued this in the first place if I didn't have some idea that, you know, they wouldn't be willing to participate. And they indicated that they were, and they thought it was already set up. I said, no, time out, nothing's been arranged yet. So it's been back and forth for months, and I thought it was a non-controversial issue. And in the past, we have never referred first place. But if we can continue this, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Castiglia.
The point that I was making is that we have never had a advisory board have oversight over the elected bodies here. And that's what my point was in this, what I brought up just now, is that a recognition was brought to the clerk of the legislature and passed on to the Veterans Advisory Board, and it should not have done. It's not that set up. We don't send things to the Travel Advisory Board to oversee the elected officials here. It's just not that way. That's all I'm asking for, is that policy is not something that we voted on to say, okay, yeah, we'll give you that right to be able to oversee over the elected.
Thank you. Legislator Casper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Vice Chair of that committee, I agree, they should be recognized. However, I think February is a bad time. Some of them will be in Florida. We hope where it's nice and warm. Also, I think it'd be a little bit more towards May, when we're honoring veterans, even though it's a memorial veterans thing. But we can discuss it in January when we meet and set up a better time weather-wise, not because it's going to be something that some of them would be able to come to, some of them may not be able to come to in this type of weather that we have in February. So if we don't go as far as May, then it could be April. But it's still a nice idea. I thank Frank for that. But February is a little bit too not a good time to bring people out that have maybe trouble getting here. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Legislator Rehill.
Rich, could you clarify for us who actually makes the decision, what makes it to the pre-resolution agenda?
The miscellaneous business is where we presently are right now.
this would be
No,
pre-resident.
no, I mean, for example, the case is being made here that the veterans are having oversight over what we do, when in fact, it seems to me that all they're doing is advising the chairman, who ultimately, I believe, controls the pre-resolution agenda. So I just wanted you to clarify that for the legislature, that it is not up to the Veterans Advisory Committee, it's up to the chairman what makes it ultimately to the pre-resolution agenda.
I would agree with that. It's also up to the legislature to invite whichever guests they wish to honor or recognize or just invite to participate in the proceedings. The legislature controls the government, not the advisory committee.
Thank you.
The point was that when legislator Fafaya called the clerk to ask what happened with his letter asking for recognition, he said that it was passed on to the advisory board because that's what we had decided on doing. That was going to be their function. And I'm sorry, that is a recognition. I've done it. I've asked for a recognition. I went to the chairman. The chairman said yes. I went to the clerk, went to, the chairman, they said yes. Okay? It shouldn't have, it didn't have to go to an advisory board. His letter should not have gone to an advisory board either. It's all I want to know is this going to happen in the future, that issues or recognition get put to an advisory board instead of whether or not this legislative body is going to recognize somebody. That's all I want to do.
Thank you. I think Legislator Clerk Jones has a clarification.
I do not approve or disapprove proclamations when they come through. I do put those forward to the chairman. At that time when that was put forward, there was discussion both with the Veteran Service Advisory Committee, in addition to with the director of the Veteran Services Agency, on establishing policies for how honors for militaries are basically recognized. That a policy was being established at that time. So that was put forward to the proper channels, and that was being discussed. And it's my understanding that a policy is in development to make sure that we properly recognize our veterans, and that process is properly vetted through the channels that it should.
Thank you, Chris. Legislator Rito.
And it's wholly appropriate for you to advise the chairman, and the chairman makes the decision ultimately.
All right, let's wrap this up, okay?
Yeah, I'd like to
My
wrap up.
father's here, and he thinks we argue all the time.
I'm sorry, it's, the advisory board is for the veterans, not to go to the chairman.
All right, Legislator Perfetti.
All right, because that the policy was established through the private conversation, but that decision was never made public. Is it going to be this way for all others, or just for veterans, in the future, for proclamations of recognition?
I can tell you this, I can not speak to the past, I can speak to the future. And I would think that you would put this resolution forward through the channels again. I am the chairman, and ultimately I will do the chairman's job. Any other discussions? Thank you. Public comment period. Thank you. Well, I guess this brings the first one to a close unless somebody's got something.
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn by Legislator Wilbur, seconded by Legislator Rehill. Stand adjourned.